Right, hello. But don't worry, I'm not here to bore you with binary. My name is Rejects, and today we're tackling a subject of monumental importance, something that separates the true petrol heads from the people who probably think a carburetor is a type of pasta. We're diving into the top 10 things you might be doing, quite inadvertently perhaps, that are killing your motorbike faster than a politician's promise. You see, a motorbike isn't just a machine, it's a glorious, fire-breathing extension of your very soul. It promises freedom, exhilaration, and the ability to filter past queues of miserable commuters trapped in their beige boxes. But like any highly strung thoroughbred, it requires a bit of understanding, a modicum of mechanical sympathy. Get it wrong, and you'll find yourself stranded by the side of the A303 with nothing but a seized engine and a deep sense of regret for company. It's a tragic and frankly expensive way to learn. So, pay attention because this isn't just a list, it's a lifeline for your beloved two-wheeled companion. Welcome to our channel. Today, we're diving into the top 10 things you might be doing that are killing your motorbike faster than you think. Stay tuned to find out if you're guilty of any of these. We're going to expose the common sins, the lazy habits, and the downright idiotic mistakes that turn magnificent motorcycles into very expensive, very stationary garden ornaments. Prepare to be enlightened, and possibly, a little bit ashamed. First up, the cardinal sin, the one that makes engineers weep into their well-oiled rags, neglecting regular maintenance. Honestly, some people treat their motorbikes with less care than they'd afford a rented power tool. You wouldn't expect your heart to keep pumping without the occasional checkup, would you? Well, your bike's engine is its heart, and those regular services, the oil changes, the filter swaps, they're not just suggestions from the manufacturer to make more money. They are vital. Ignoring them is like playing Russian roulette with your pistons, and trust me, the house always wins that game, leaving you with a bill that could fund a small nation. Think of it this way, oil is the lifeblood of your engine. Old sludgy oil is like trying to run a marathon with treacle in your veins. It doesn't lubricate, it doesn't cool, it just abrades. And that grinding noise? That's the sound of tiny metal particles, your engine's inside, screaming in agony. Regular checkups spot the little niggles before they become catastrophic failures. A loose bolt today is a detached component tomorrow, potentially leading to what we in the business call an unscheduled rapid disassembly event at 70 miles per hour. Not ideal. So, consult your manual, find a spanner, or, if all else fails, pay a competent chap to do it for you. Your bike, and your continued existence, will thank you. Next on our list of mechanical atrocities is using the wrong fuel. Now this might sound like something only a complete buffoon would do, like trying to run a V8 on Dandelion and Burdock. But it's surprisingly common. You pull up to the pump, you're distracted, maybe you're thinking about what a genius I am, and you grab the wrong nozzle. Putting diesel in a petrol bike, or vice versa, is an act of profound mechanical cruelty. It's like giving a vegan a bacon sandwich. The system just isn't designed for it, and the ensuing chaos will be messy and expensive. Modern motorbikes, especially the high-performance ones we all secretly crave, have engines tuned with incredible precision. They expect a certain octane rating, a specific blend of combustibles. Feed it the cheap stuff when it demands super unleaded and you're inviting detonation, or knocking, which is your engine literally trying to punch its way out of the frame. It leads to damaged pistons, knackered valves, and a noise that sounds like a bag of spanners in a tumble dryer. Conversely, putting high-octane fuel in an engine that doesn't need it won't turn your commuter into a MotoGP bike. It'll just burn a hole in your wallet slightly faster. Read the manual, check the sticker on the fuel cap. It's not rocket science, it's just not being an idiot. Tires, those black round things that connect you and your several thousand-pound machine to the unforgiving tarmac. You'd think, given their rather crucial role in, people would pay them a bit more attention. But no, ignoring tire pressure is like going into a knife fight wearing flip-flops. You're just asking for trouble. Riding with underinflated tires is astonishingly common, and it's a one-way ticket to sloppy handling, increased fuel consumption, and most alarmingly, a catastrophic blowout at the least opportune moment. Your bike will wallow like a drunken hippo in corners, and braking distances will increase alarmingly. Overinflating them isn't much better, mind you. It reduces the contact patch, that tiny area of rubber keeping you upright, to the size of a postage stamp. This means less grip, a terribly harsh ride that will rearrange your internal organs, and accelerated wear in the center of the tire. Think of it, your entire life, your hopes, your dreams, all depending on a few square inches of rubber. The correct pressures are written on a sticker on your bike, or in the manual, that dusty book you probably use to prop up a wobbly table. Check them weekly with a decent gauge when they're cold. It takes 2 minutes, and it might just save your bacon, or at the very least prevent you from looking like a complete amateur when you inexplicably slide off on a gentle bend. Chapter 4. The Beast of Burden, Overloading Your Steed. Now, let's talk about turning your sleek, agile motorbike into a pack mule. Overloading. We've all seen it. A bike designed for a rider and perhaps a modestly packed rucksack, groaning under the weight of 2 generously proportioned individuals, plus enough luggage to sustain a small family for a month-long expedition to the Antarctic. Your motorbike, however robust it may seem, has a gross vehicle weight rating for a reason. It's not just a friendly suggestion, it's a limit set by engineers who understand things like structural integrity and not dying. Exceeding this limit puts an unholy amount of strain on everything. Your suspension will bottom out, feeling like it's made of blancmange. Your frame will flex in ways it was never designed to, potentially leading to cracks and, well, the bike folding in half, which is rarely a good look. Your brakes, already working hard, will overheat and fade, just when you need them most. And the engine. It will strain and sweat, burning more fuel and wearing itself out prematurely, all because you couldn't resist packing that extra cast iron skillet for your camping trip. If you need to carry that much stuff, buy a van, or a Sherpa. Don't torture your poor motorcycle. It deserves better. Chapter 5. The Red Mist. Riding like a maniac, constantly. Right, this one might be a bit controversial, especially coming from me, but here we go, riding aggressively all the time. Look, I'm the first to admit that the throttle is not just an on-off switch, it's a volume control for happiness. A spirited blast down a B road is one of life's great joys. However, there's a vast difference between enjoying your bike's performance and treating every single journey like a qualifying lap for the Grand Prix. If you're constantly redlining it in every gear, braking at the very last nanosecond, and generally behaving like your trousers are on fire, you are quite simply wearing your bike out, and fast. Think about it, your clutch, your gearbox, your chain, your sprockets, your tires, your brakes, they're all taking a hammering. Revving the nuts off a cold engine? That's like waking someone up with a bucket of ice water and then forcing them to sprint a marathon. Cruel and unusual. Constant hard acceleration and deceleration puts immense stress on every component. It's not just about the big, expensive bits either. Even smaller things, like bearings and seals, will give up the ghost much sooner. There's a time and a place for exuberance. A deserted alpine pass? Go for it. The school run through rush hour traffic? Probably not the moment to practice your knee-down technique. A little mechanical sympathy goes a long, long way. Chapter 6. The squeaky wheel gets replaced, skipping chain lubrication. Ah, the humble drive chain. Often overlooked, frequently abused, yet utterly critical to getting power from your magnificent engine to the back wheel. Skipping chain lubrication is, frankly, an act of mechanical barbarism. A dry, rusty chain isn't just noisy and inefficient, it's a ticking time bomb. It will wear out your sprockets at an alarming rate, turning those precisely engineered teeth into something resembling a shark's grin after a bar fight. And a badly worn or poorly tensioned chain can snap. Imagine that happening at speed. Best case scenario, it thrashes around, smashing your crankcase. Worst case, it locks up the back wheel. Game over. Proper chain care is not difficult. It's a bit messy, I'll grant you, but it's essential. Clean it regularly to get rid of all the road grime and old sticky lube. Then apply a good quality chain lubricant, ensuring you get it onto the rollers and O-rings, or X-rings if you're fancy. Do it when the chain is warm, after a ride, so the lube penetrates properly. And check the tension. A chain that's too tight puts strain on the gearbox output shaft bearing, and one that's too loose will slap around like a landed fish and jump off the sprockets. It takes 10 minutes every few hundred miles. Is that really too much to ask to prevent a catastrophic and very expensive failure? Apparently for some people, yes. Now, we all like a bargain. There's a certain satisfaction in getting something for less, but when it comes to motorbike parts, going cheap isn't thrifty, it's often monumentally stupid and potentially dangerous. Those unbranded, suspiciously inexpensive brake pads you found on some obscure corner of the internet, they might be made of compressed yak dung for all you know. Fitting them to your 150-mile-per-hour superbike is like hiring a one-legged man for a kicking contest. The outcome is predictable and it won't be pretty. Your motorbike is a complex piece of engineering. Genuine parts, or at least those from reputable aftermarket manufacturers, are designed and tested to meet specific tolerances and performance standards. Cheap, knockoff parts are a gamble. Will that budget oil filter actually filter anything, or will it disintegrate and send shrapnel through your engine? Will those bargain basement levers snap the first time you grab a handful of brake in an emergency? It's just not worth the risk. Saving a few quid on a critical component could cost you your bike, or worse, a trip to the hospital in a vehicle with flashing blue lights. Don't be a skinflint where it matters. Your life and the life of your bike depends on quality. Your engine, much like myself after a particularly good Sunday lunch, needs to breathe. It craves a constant, clean supply of air to mix with fuel and create those glorious explosions that propel you down the road. The air filter is the gatekeeper, the bouncer that stops all the airborne riffraff dust, grit, insects, small rodents probably, from getting into the delicate innards of your engine. So what happens when you neglect it? Well, it gets clogged. Duh. And a clogged air filter is like trying to breathe through a thick pillow. Performance plummets, fuel economy goes out the window, and your engine starts to suffer. Imagine tiny particles of sand and grit bypassing a filthy filter and getting sucked into your combustion chamber. They act like sandpaper, scouring away at your cylinder walls, your piston rings, your valve seats. This leads to a loss of compression, increased oil consumption, and eventually an engine that's about as powerful as a wheezing asthmatic hamster. Cleaning or replacing your air filter is one of the easiest and cheapest bits of maintenance you can do. On most bikes, it's readily accessible. Check it regularly, especially if you ride in dusty conditions or follow lorries carrying gravel. A clean air filter means a happy, healthy, and more powerful engine. It's simple, really. On your dashboard, amongst the dials telling you how fast you're going, too fast probably, and how much fuel you haven't got, there are little lights. These aren't decorative Christmas illuminations, they are trying to tell you something, usually something important, often something expensive if ignored. Ignoring a warning light on your motorbike is the mechanical equivalent of sticking your head in the sand and hoping the problem just magically disappears. Spoiler alert, it won't. That little red oil pressure light? That's not a friendly greeting, it's screaming, "Stop the engine now before it eats itself." Whether it's an engine management light, an ABS fault, or low oil pressure, these indicators are there for a reason. They're an early warning system. Continuing to ride with a serious warning light illuminated is like ignoring a doctor who tells you you've got a week to live unless you have urgent surgery. You might get a few more miles down the road, but the eventual bill, both financially and mechanically, will be exponentially higher. Pull over safely, consult your manual, yes, that book again, and if you don't know what it means or how to fix it, get it to someone who does. Modern bikes are clever. Listen to what they're trying to tell you. Don't be the person who explains to the recovery driver, "Well, that light had been on for a week, but it seemed to be running okay." So, the riding season draws to a close, or perhaps you're just not going to be using your beloved machine for a few weeks or months. You can't just shove it in a damp shed next to the rusty lawnmower and expect it to emerge in spring, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Improper storage is a slow, insidious killer of motorbikes. Condensation forms, rust blooms, batteries die, fuel goes stale, and tires develop flat spots. It's a recipe for a very frustrating and expensive reawakening. You'll return to a bike that refuses to start, with seized brakes and a chain that looks like it's been dredged from the bottom of a canal. To store your bike properly for an extended period, you need a plan. Give it a thorough clean and a protective coat of wax. Fill the fuel tank and add a fuel stabilizer to prevent the petrol from turning into a gummy, carburetor-clogging varnish. Connect the battery to a tender to keep it charged and happy. Ideally, get both wheels off the ground using paddock stands to prevent tire flat spotting and take the load off the suspension. Cover it with a breathable cover, not a plastic sheet that traps moisture. It might seem like a faff, but a little effort before hibernation means your bike will be ready for action the moment the sun shines again, rather than presenting you with a list of expensive repairs. So there you have it, 10 ways to turn your pride and joy into a pile of scrap with surprising ease. From the sin of slothful maintenance to the foolishness of feeding it the wrong juice, or simply ignoring its plaintive cries for help via those little warning lights. It's not rocket science, is it? Most of it is common sense wrapped in a thin veneer of actually bothering to read the manual or listening to people like me who've seen the grim results of neglect. Your motorbike isn't just a tool, it's a partner in adventure, a source of immense pleasure. Treat it with a modicum of respect, and it will reward you with thousands of miles of trouble-free joy. Remember, a little preventative care, a bit of mechanical sympathy, and not riding it like you stole it will keep your machine purring like a well-fed tiger, rather than coughing like a diseased badger. These machines are designed to be ridden, to be enjoyed, but they are not indestructible. They rely on you, the owner, the rider, to keep them in fine fettle. So take these lessons to heart, avoid these pitfalls, and you and your bike will have a long and happy life together, carving up B-roads and leaving a trail of envious onlookers in your wake. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, and let's be honest, how could you not, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon. Apparently, it does something important in the grand YouTube scheme of things. We'll be back with more tips and tricks to keep your motorbike in top shape, and perhaps some more opinions you didn't ask for, but we'll get anyway. Until then, ride safe. And for heaven's sake, check your tire pressures.